Hello, I'm here today to talk about ag science. Now, as the name suggests, ag science is one of the science disciplines offered here at Oakey State High School. So, ag science is a subject that would be best suited to students who are interested in a science that applies to the real world. Agri-systems are constantly changing, and that is thanks to the work that ag scientists do behind the scenes. This is a very exciting subject, and there are many different assessment tasks to be completed. Every year you will do a data exam where you have collected your own data and you are analysing it. You conduct a student experiment which could be related to plant or animal, and then you do a student investigation where you have to investigate research completed by other scientists in the field. Finishing every year with a 50% exam that covers the content that you've covered in that year. To be able to do this subject successfully, you will need at least a B in English, Maths and Science. Ag science could lead you into many exciting fields. So if you're a student who is interested in further studies, tertiary or university, then ag science is definitely for you and could lead you into fields such as horticulture, agronomy, maybe veterinary science, wildlife or environmental conservation. This is an exciting subject. It's a very practical subject where you get to do hands-on experiments in the ag plot. So I urge you to consider ag science as one of the science disciplines here at Oakey High. Thank you.
Hello, science heads. So I've got a question to ask you. Who are some of the most important people in the world right now, apart from your mums? They are biologists. Actually, they are virologists. And they are desperately trying to find a cure for the COVID-19 virus at the moment. So these people doing these amazing things, who are they and where did they start off? They started off in a biology lab. But biology isn't just about medical, okay? We also have everything that you need to know about the world and everything that is living in it. How do we feed the world? How do we make super crops so we can feed the world? How do we protect our planet? And how do we understand animals and their behavior so that all these species can keep living? So that's what we do in biology. To be in biology, like all the sciences, you have to be sitting on that B for maths and B for English, so that when you do come in to the subject, all you're doing is worrying about learning the content and doing really well with all your experiments and all your hands-on activities. So if you enjoy looking through one of these, measuring and squirting one of these, cutting things open with these, and looking cool wearing one of these, then biology's for you, and I'll see you next year.
Hello, I'm here to talk about ag practices. Well, if you ate today, then you need to thank a farmer. If you live in a house or you're wearing clothes, you need to thank a farmer. So if you're interested where all these primary products come from, then you might be interested in ag practices. As the name suggests, ag practices is a practical subject, so you need to be able to actively participate in the agricultural activities that we do in the ag plot. Some of these activities may include drenching goats, shearing goats, ear tagging cattle, trimming alpaca feet. It might be gardening, watering, or even weeding. All that fun stuff takes place in the ag plot. Now, this subject has 4 pieces of assessment in a year. You need to complete projects, investigations, a collection of work, and an extended response. Now, all of these are very easy pieces of assessment, and if you are getting a pass in English, Maths and Science, you will cope very, very well. Ag practices could lead to employment in areas such as working as a farmhand, business opportunities in agribusiness, and even working as a horticulturist. Now, I'm very practical and very excited about this subject, and I hope you are too. Thank you.
Hi, this is Miss Edhouse, who teaches chemistry here at Oakey State High School. Chemistry is a study of materials and their properties and structure, so we actually look at bonding, we look at periodic trends, we look at exothermic, endothermic reactions, acids and bases, equilibrium and organic chemistry, and particularly in the end of year 12 we actually focus on certain reactions, and that combines all the knowledge over the 2-year course basically. Where it can actually lead to, it obviously leads to a lot of the science fields at university. It's a prereq for obviously medicine, and depending on what science you're doing, certainly forensics, environmental. It normally goes hand in hand with biology at university, and obviously physics, depending on if you're looking at engineering. It's actually a good one for chemical engineering, particularly with the future pathways of what we're going to be used as fuels. It's also very good for the workforce, particularly I know of examples where you need to have an understanding of acids and bases and how to use them. So hairdressing has been one in the past, basic nursing, as in not nursing for uni, but a vet course to do with nursing would also benefit from having a chemistry background. The expectations of the subject, like any general subject, it has high expectations of you to be able to do 2 to 3 hours of homework per week on the subject. And it does have a high expectation of your literacy component. There's a lot of high level reading, so that requires you to have a B- in English in year 10, and in maths a B- as well, and science would also benefit to have a B- as well. So all of those prereq subjects need to have that, so you have a good grounding. You can't come to chemistry or any senior subject this day and say that you have no knowledge from junior, because you will not do so well in the
Good afternoon. The subject I'm here to speak with you about today is physics. So physics will help you to gain employment in every manner of jobs you can almost think of. So especially if you're going into medicine, a field that has to do with MRI imaging, radiation, nuclear medicine, physics is certainly going to be a prerequisite you're required to study for those at university. Any engineering discipline, whether they be mechanical, computer, civil, environmental, they all require a knowledge of physics. Even if you want to become a tradesperson, if you want to go to be an electrician, or you'd like to do a trade in carpentry, a background knowledge in physics will help with all of those things and more. So the assessment in physics, there's 4 of them. 3 are internal and 1 is external. The 3 internal assessments constitute a data test, a student experiment, and a research investigation. So those make 50% of the mark, and the other 50% comes from the external exam. The prerequisites you'll need to study physics will be good marks in year 10 science. You'll have to have good behaviour, good effort, and yeah, you'll enjoy the subject. There's lots of practicals involved. There's a good group of students there. You'll learn well, and it will certainly be something that looks very good on your resume in the future, having passed or excelled in physics. So do it.
Hi, this is Miss Edhouse, who is currently teaching the Science and Practice, which is a new subject here at the school starting 2020. It is a non-general subject, so it is for students who enjoy science in 10 to 7th and are very interested in the topic but really don't want to do a general subject. And it also could be for students who are doing general subjects and want a non-general one in the mix, because it actually gives you a lot of skills and some basic knowledge. You get a lot more practical skills in Science and Practice versus your general subjects, which are hugely content driven. What is the subject about? So it focuses on science literacy and working scientifically. So it's thinking skills, it's problem solving. You do a lot of that, particularly in practicals. You've got to modify. You start with a basic structure and then you have to modify it. It is also to do with workplace health and safety, and also communication and self-management. So here at this school, we've actually, all the students of 2020, the grade 11s in 2020, got together with me, and the modules that we actually have decided to base our content around. So each module, or over the 2 years, it's basically based on biology, chemistry, physics, and environmental science. And within our modules, first module is forensic science, then we go into looking after country, land management, so we have a lot of Indigenous perspectives inbuilt in there, and an excursion to Bunya Mountains and Hamptons, hopefully. Not Hamptons over in America, by the way, the Hampton suburb close to us. Module 3 is what can we do when the Xbox won't work. So it's basically based on electricity production and producing electric circuits, as well as some environmental stuff. So we actually look at coal, why we don't use coal, renewable, non-renewable resources. Term 4, we've decided that we'll actually be making, using microorganisms to either make vinegar, non-alcoholic wine, beer, yogurt, or bread. We're not making cheese. I believe the students tell me it smells. And then they'll be testing that from there. Module 5 is about consumer production. So we actually look at the claims made by consumers. So I know my students are very interested in looking at if the non-meat new patties of certain takeaway foods are actually do not have protein in them, so we're actually going to be testing that. Or we could even look at, you know, moisturisers or lipsticks and the claims put out by different companies. Then we have another looking after country unit, which is about water systems, and we'll actually again look at the Indigenous perspectives embedded in that as well. So we'll also involve an excursion as well to collect water samples and apply Indigenous techniques to scientific testing. Then after that we actually have 2 other units. One's on sports science, so we actually look at the human movement, cardiorespiratory, so a little bit of HPE, a little bit of science in there. And then in module 4 we actually look at alternative fuel vehicles. So again, going back to fossil fuels, but we actually look at force, motion and alternative energy sources to do with cars in particular, not like the current module. So looking up the Xbox version is actually more to do with electrical circuits. Expectations of students. So assessment is a range of assessment ideas. So there's a collection of folio of work, there is exams, there is projects where you actually have to build something and then present it. So you do have a lot of presenting sometimes. You also have, what's the other assessment item? An investigation, so it's like a science investigation, or an extended response, which is like a written assignment as well. So there's a number of different varieties of assessment items. Prereqs, really there's no prereqs except for a love of science. Any student can come to it as long as you love science and you can be safe.